Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith. This is Smith in the Black channel here at Sepia Group, and if it's Monday, it's the Strat Power Hour. And for new folks, especially, this is where we get a lot done. We're still going to be transferring old ones, so bear with us. We're lucky that we have this home as fast as we did. So bear with us with the course and moving over a monster amount of power hours and all that kind of stuff. But believe me, behind the scenes, people are working very hard for us. So we're fortunate we have that. But also, it's important that if you can't make it, you can always email your questions in so I can cover them for you and cover them for everybody as opposed to answering email questions, which is only one person. It just works better that way, and we'll continue to build this up. This will be on my YouTube, so as we start to build more power hours, they'll be on my YouTube. So you got that. Forever. So that's good. And if you have some questions, start typing them in. I usually start with the emails. I was out of town, so only one email tonight. But our friend Steve has always got some good questions for us, so I'll start it off. When stocks hit, let's get charts up. Okay, so SPY, as we know, exhaustion risk, and this is one of the questions I'm getting right now, is when stocks hit exhaustion risk levels, all-time highs, then stall out. In the stall out phase, is that a time to exit automatically and reset setups? Not necessarily. So if you don't have a reversal against you, it's still good, right? And so that's what we're looking for to see if we have any reversals against us, and depending on where you got in. So let's say the Qs were perfect last week, right? Let's say you got this the 2-2 reversal here, right? Like so, 2 down, 2 up, and boom, off she goes. You don't have to do anything. You can just let that baby run until you have some sort of reversal against you, which you do not have, right? Still chewing its way up, right? So you just want to make sure you don't have any major reversals against you. So some people are a little more impatient. I'll always say this, that the strat customizes itself to you. You may never sell this thing, depending on where you get them. If you get like a weekly here, a 2-1-2 weekly, and it's still good up in here, you can hold it as long as you want. So the key is not letting things go against you. And sometimes they keep a going, right? Some people, however, I want to make this point that, like, for people trading shorter term options and stuff like that, oftentimes you're going to want to take that right away, right? Because you don't want that theta burn to come in on you. It'll wipe those options out. So that's a little bit different of a ballgame. But as far as equities are concerned, if you don't have a reversal against you, it's still good. And when we have an entry and it doesn't just go, just get out, or give it a chance. My worry is my correct entry stalls and drifts down the rest of the day. Thoughts? Yeah, just get out. As you'll see over time, as you'll continue to see over time, good ones just work, right? We expect things to work our way, and we expect them to happen fairly quickly. But also, another problem that people have is what we call doing battle, right? And if it re-triggers, you get back in, right? A lot of people have difficulties. They'll say, "Oh, this one didn't work," or what have you. And the longer term setups are still good. It's just messing on a tighter intraday triangle. So that's important to remember. Like if we have every reason to believe something's going to work, it's a simultaneous break or whatever's going on, you're going to want to do battle. And traded Roku on Friday. I wouldn't have because I wasn't here, but okay. And Roku just blasted off, so that wasn't going to be too easy on Friday. Here, so you had your inside 60. You could have taken that. It's directional, but because this is red here, right, like so, you had some corrective activity, even though it's an inside bar, right? On a shorter term time frame, it went down, right? That's good. That's a little bit corrective activity. Some of these guys took profits, but there's no real sellers in there, and then boom, off she goes. And Turkey. And Turkey looks like you got a Rev Strat 30 here that triggered the 60. Something like that, but it was a little grindy. And so oftentimes when you get something that's just grinding along, then you go down to the shorter term time frames and try and catch it off of here, right? Because the triangles are tight when they grind. So if you keep buying it into the highs, oftentimes you just keep getting stopped out as it keeps coming grinding back through. So oftentimes you can go down to a fiver and get those micro tries to get in, and then just let it run. Okay. And I get this question all the time. What setups give you the biggest opportunity? 3-1-2s or 2-2 reversals? Well, that depends the size of the 3 for magnitude, right? And however long the candle before the 2-2 reversal is, because that's the magnitude on that. So it would be the size of the 3 and the size of the candle before the 2. And so, because I get this question a lot about um, um, what's the best setup? And the best setup is the most that are triggering in the same direction. That's why we look for simultaneous breaks, right? That tells us what's going on. That tells us that institutions are buying either everybody, everything, or a whole sector. So that gives us a much better opportunity. So that might be a series of a whole bunch of things. Some are going 2-2, some are going inside and up, but it's the amount of signals in the same direction. And that's why we like that, because we know what's happening, as opposed to single stock analysis where you're just going after, something that's kind of its own animal, as opposed to they're buying everything that has a drop of oil, right? They're buying all the airlines, they're buying whatever it may be, right? That gives us much higher probability. And Tim, reversal on the time frame or hour? Yeah, you can get out on the hourly. I mean, like I said, everybody's going to be a little different. How antsy are you? Where'd you get in? You know, were you late to the party? Were you late to this party here? Because depending on your risk tolerance or what you're doing, uh, you know, you could even take a 2-2 reversal on the daily and say, hey, you ain't changing this thing anytime soon, you know, or this monthly. But yeah, everybody's going to be a little different on that. Like some people pound it out and say, oh, now it's an exhaustion risk. I'm going to take it down to a fiver. I really want to cut this thing and go hunt some more meat. And best setup question. Well, do you know what you could do is, and you'll hear me say this a lot too, pick one. I don't care. Just be a one-trick pony, because then you can always move on. There's more than enough 2-2 reversals in any given day on 30s and 60s to keep you busy. And 3-2-2s, because that gives you the magnitude. Because oftentimes, you'll hear me say this in almost every power hour, people want to come in here and master everything in the strat. I'm like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can always branch out more, but you could just keep it simple and be like, this is what I do. I trade 2-2 reversals back into full time frame continuity. That's what I do. I trade 2-2 reversals on 30-60 gappers. That's what I do. And then, as you build up over time, you can always branch out. And Paul, nightly and weekly weekend videos are on my YouTube now. Smiths in the Black, all one word. For now, until we get the site up and running. Defaults to mute. Shut up, Rob. And just an example of what I'm talking about is I didn't get a chance to look at a bunch of charts, but I'm gonna tell you right now, sure as heck looks like Tuesday was a 2-2 reversal day for almost everything. That's what it looks like on my charts, from what I'm gathering. Um, so that was a high probability that day was going to work. They're going to work. Like when 90% of things are 2-2 reversals on the daily, that's going to work. Right, and so another good thing about being the one-trick pony is that a lot of the stuff I talk about during the day, you can just filter it out. That's another problem that people have when they first get here. Like, Rob's talking about like 50 million stocks. I'm like, well, he's talking to a lot of people. And so that way you can just mute it out and be like, blah, 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 I don't care. Setting up the 2260, now you got my attention. And you have the scans. And you can run it by me. I'm considering, nope, nope. Here's the problem with that, right? Because you'll hear me be very repetitive and say, here's the problem with that, or every reason to believe that's going to work. And training vids were working hard, so bear with us. Like I said before, we're lucky we have a home at all. Trying to get Artie in here. Just got to tell me once. Where do you go? Here. And so, yeah, I'm running a little dry here just because of I didn't look at any charts for a week. So I'm going. I tried to stay off social media as much as possible, but just didn't want things to get clogged up there either. But yeah, narrowing down that universe is important. That way, Rob, it's another analogy I like to use. Then a lot of it is just Charlie Brown's teacher. Apple. Like, now you got my attention, right? Epic poem, 7 hours of triangle drawn. People always ask me, how do I draw the triangles? I go, watch that. Watch that. And keep your charts up and see what happened. Because I did that just a year ago, last week. See what I drew and see what happened. It's one of my favorite games. Yeah, there was a lot of stalling out today, and that's why you'll see Robservations was pretty dead. I was like, it's like, nah. Pretty dead. And that's why we do, especially for newer folks, why we do a lot less on Mondays, right? Unless there's a simultaneous break, I'm doing a lot of observing. What are they doing to start off the week? So we know that they're coming into Bitcoins. They were selling Chiners, right? We knew that. We also knew there's a ton of earnings coming out this week, right? So might not want to be doing too much. I don't want to be doing too much in front of all that potential shenanigans into new highs. But the epic poem is also good for understanding what a compound 1 is, what a compound 3 is, because we're always putting charts together, right? Because you can see this here is this outside bar, right? It is. So there's your broadening formation that is, right? So these, let's say that this happened on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday or whatever, and this wouldn't have been an outside bar, or it stalled out and didn't go into the highs, right? Then you're just looking to finish the job the next week. Just ran out of time. It's on Wednesday. I'm going to be doing a webinar on Benzinga. I'm going to be talking about trading psychology, right? And that's got a lot to do with it, how software presents stuff to you, and how people get trapped in bad spots because of that. Because I'm sure everybody's heard this one. Something going into breaking out into new highs. Clear blue skies up there. That'd be wrong. That'd be wrong. All right? And that's when you get a 2-2 reversal that can really pound you. Well, I'll just buy the pullback. Boom. Puke. Penn. Well, Penn's got news tomorrow. Penn has an announcement with Barstool. So, has come in a bit, but you got news coming. Your hopes is you can measure move this baby here. Boom, boom. That would be the hopes on this thing. But you got news. News pending. And there's a nice little dipsy-do. Triangle day out. Bam. I'm hoping to go after these guys and maybe more. Full Portnoy can help you out. Yeah, and while we're getting set up here with courses and all that kind of stuff, you can also, you got my YouTube. The Facebook group has a ton of stuff in there. And then I'm here every day. Strat attack might be challenging tomorrow, but I can brag about my Q try. That's pretty good. When did it hit this? When I was in Wisconsin. uh, and yeah, so sit tight on a lot of things here. I mean, we just got here. They're literally building out this platform for us. So they take requests. I must say the chat's already much better. Look how much we can see. Yep, everything that's simultaneous break. That's good to know. That's good to know because over time, um, over time, I teach the real tight stops, and that's usually a good idea. But over time, like there's higher probabilities, like simultaneous breaks, or you can give things some room as long as everything's hunky dory everywhere else. No, he does not trade the strat, but might be. There he is. Remember the old chap and Blake first saw us our first couple of weeks. I was like, pretty nifty tricks there, don't you think, there, Blakey? He's like, I don't want to be a tech guy. I want to trade strat. I'm like, that's what I thought. Once again, you guys got questions, type them in. Looks like everybody's in a summer haze. That's okay. Because with the volatility as low as it's been outside of this little thing here, that's going to happen. That's the good part. We know that this happens, right? Sometimes you just got to wait. Because if you had the right options, you just made your summer. right there. It looked like there was a lot of outside weeks, too, because of that similar pattern. Roku. There you go. Now you're talking. And another point I like to make, especially for newer folks, you don't wait for things to go three. You just see them fail two and start gunning through here. That's going to be an outside bar. There's only three things that can happen. We know that, right? And that's why we're always looking for things that are failed twos on some time frames because they're future threes. And that's how you can build your magnitude. When it starts gunning through here, where's it going, Rob? At least going to take this thing out. Especially, and then after the previous week on the way down, failed two and boom, three, then boom, failed two and three. Back and forth we go. And how do I build the gap list? I just go watch the tape and hit a couple sites and see what people are talking about. I know I'm going to miss a few here and there. So no special sauce there, and that's why I go through them before the opening, see if these things are really gapping or not. And go over some gappers from today. Okay, Tiger was one. 2-2 off the 30. Boom. It's going into exhaustion risk by hitting some new lows, right? You got maybe some more stuff in here, but short-term exhaustion risk. So if you just stayed on the 30-60s, boom, right there. That's a nice move. That was over 1640 and hit a high of 1769 in the next half an hour. So if you just stay doing that, you should do well. Like yesterday's Fu 2. Let me say, when was that Fu 2? I'm sorry, that was this morning. Here's another 30 reversal. Look at this. 2 down. That's the first one on the list. 2 down, 2 up. Over 109.01 to spike to a high of 125.29. A 13 bucker from entry to the high, depending on when you get out. And then if you wanted to dump some on them here in the inside 30 back down with their money, then go inside 30 back up with their money. We like to play with their money. Yeah, we can do that. Bear with us. We're going to have all sorts of bells and whistles here by the time we're done. Do the gappers fill the gaps quickly? Not always. Sometimes they sit there and do nothing. You get chewed up a little bit. And then sometimes you get rev strat off the 30 here. Tee-hee. Hopefully they do. But that's why in the morning I go through them to say, do you have exhaustion risk? Or are you coming back through a previous range? Right? That pivot machine gun or exhaustion risk? Right? Both can work well. But if you come back to the previous range, you're going to stop some more guys out. But also the panic of let's say that I'm short this thing starts screaming back up on me, I'm going to cover. Right? When you get that lucky gapper and you see that big number sitting in front of you and it starts disappearing and everybody runs for the exit at the same time, yeah. And also, for newer folks especially, there's there's certain things that I'll say about the gap. And so let's say the market gaps up or down or whatever. So here, and this goes back to, are we always looking for the same setups? No, when things occur. So let's say I was here last week and you got this gap down, right? But you start to rally back just a little bit. Here's a pop quiz for you. What would Rob say we'd be looking for during this day? What would Rob say? Had he been here? This will probably be in the webinar on Wednesday. Any show of hands? What do they say? What are we going to look for here this day? Yep. Rob would say, I want anybody taking out this high. I want anybody taking out Friday's highs. Those guys are getting it stuck too because everything's a 2 down, right? But if you're a 2 up when everything's a 2 down, you got problems, right? Then the next day when we go 2-2 reversal, yeah, that's a simultaneous break. Everybody. Taking out the highs. That's right. Yep. And a 2 failed. Well, that's why we use multiple time frames, right? And see what else is going on here, right? So at this point, when this thing kicks back into full time frame continuity, because this changed the week back green, it was already actually green. Boom! This thing's going 3. as soon as this goes green again, we're going up here, right? That's where we're going. So like Sarah will use like 50% and say, well, and the rationale behind that is that it would have to cross 50% if it's going to go 3, right? It would have to do that. If it doesn't do that, it's potentially still the 2 that it originally took. So that's what she likes to do. But the reason I keep people on tight stops, I got to know what you're doing. The last thing I want to hear is from somebody who doesn't post or doesn't check in, says I'm loose. I'd rather have you get stopped out and frustrated than get killed. Then you can work on it. Because the great thing about the strat is it's so repetitive that if you trade the strat, you're going to see the same things over and over and over, over and over and over, over and over and over. Where's it going? There. Where's it going? There. And like I said, if you just know those 2-2s or 3-1-2s and know what the magnitude is, good to go. Then you gauge whether that magnitude is worth it or not. As well as, especially for newer folks, always having 4 time frames up, at least. Options are a little bit tougher, but that's why in options we'll take profits pretty much right at magnitude. I'm not going to mess around. And it also depends on what options you're trading and how liquid they are. But yep, in general, yes. Because unlike most systems, we expect something to happen, right? We're not guessing. This should go. This baby's gonna go. Where's it gonna go? Up there. Hopefully fast. And Paul, were those good for the gappers? I can do a few more if you want. Becky do. Becky Puker. Also depends on how nimble you are. So here. So this also went 2-2 reversal off the 30. Boom, boom, and then look out. It started coming down, then went 2-2 again. Right, then triangled them out, and then bam, right here. Triangle they out. 2-2, smasheroo. Cursing that screen. And it's also when it occurs, like on Fridays or Monday, Wednesday, Fridays with SPY and Qs. Okay, cool. So yeah, sometimes you got to be a little more nimble on these things. I think this one's 60 down. Inside 60 down twice. Puke. No, they were directional, but they worked. Triangle of the out, QQQ. Right there. These guys are gone. Gone. Stop all these guys out. Now, if it was going to get more serious, it would have continued down. It's not what happened. Set up the outside weak. Went back into full time frame continuity to the upside. That's triangle of the out. Right? Now, I could have gone on the opening, right, down into here. This was a compound 3. These two are that. It's just exhausted. So it took these guys out. So it was in conflict. Then when compound 3, this to the opening of this, right? If your weekly went from Monday to Monday, instead of Monday to Friday, triangle day out. Because you ain't changing that. There's your monthly. That's not changing. That's another thing you'll hear me say a lot. How you gonna turn that around? None time soon, right? And so that's another problem that some people have is because we're very efficient that oftentimes you pick up the triangles when they're too tight and you get chewed up. By the time you get the real move, you're too beat up to go after it. That's why we like them bigger whoppers. No, it's not going that high. I'm like, you want to bet? Ooh. W always a fun one. Triangle it out. Good. Nice try you got there, Rob. Boom. These are an outside bar of all that. And I feel sorry for some of you who weren't with us during the pandemic. uh, well, we knew about this. Sure did. And this goes back to what I was just explaining. Why would this matter? Why did this 2-2 reversal matter? And I'll tell you why. Because SPY did this and got cremated, right? Cremated last March. So when you started the new quarter, there's a couple things you wanted to go after. Anything taking out the March highs. Anybody short got what they wanted. The market got creamed, right? And is pandemic bad for Wayfair? No. No. Boom. Right? So we knew about that one. The other thing we wanted to go after, when SPY did this was a new quarter, right? So you could go after the SPY. The yearly's down, but it's once a 3, always a 3 can't not be. They already triangled them out. And if they're going to pay up and sell down, they might do it again. So here, we were also looking for anything that had full time frame counter to the upside, a la Shopee. Shopee. Boom. See ya. Gone. 2-2 up to Shopee, right? Teslers. Because Teslers and Shop, if you've read my article about algorithmic trading, these guys were still green on the year. These guys were still green on the year when those kicked in. Boom. So Tesla took a little bit longer, but then it went inside month. Boom. Then inside month after triangle the out. Boom. Daily versus weekly magnitude, sure. So here, here's Teslers. So here, took out these lows, right? Triangle these guys out. They're gone. After they took out these highs, knuckle tight try here. Higher high, lower low. Then when we go to 2-2 reversal today, we're looking to take these guys out, right? On your on your daily magnitude. That's it. All these guys. Your hopes is you can go up more on here, but for first things first, taking these guys out. Then are you going to be powerful enough for that, right? You're going to need a little help. Your weekly. That's 2 down. And it broke the week, but it came back in. 660, 485. Right? That's something I'd want to hold. Get out of here, and then you can come after all these guys weekly magnitude. Right? Because you're still slight when inside month to the upside, but you're 2 months inside this month. That's a problem. That's why you haven't heard me say Teslers very much lately. And there's some people who just trade that, but they'll be aware of all that kind of stuff. And so let's say that you had the options or the common here and you broke above that, you'd want to stay up there. I don't want to come back and revisit anybody down here because we're still triangulating and we got earnings coming out. And so also you want to be able to be forward thinking. If something works, what will that cause, right? What will it set up? Because you'll hear me to say this all the time too. This is like a pool game, right? You don't just go in there and blast the ball in the hole. You leave yourself a setup, right? And so like Triple D, I talked about this in the Trend Spider earlier this year. When you have the 2 up, 2 down, right? Here, what would that set up? If that works, we're going down to set up the monthly shooter. Boom. El Puca Mucho. Then you just wait for yield rev stratter right here. You're good. Because they will triangle they out. They will. Making sense? And, as I said before about all the simultaneous breaks, it's knowing what stocks are in everything. Not everybody's that proficient at that. That's important. Who's in what ETF? Like when I'll talk about XLK a lot. I thought it was 50%. It's down to 40% of this is Apple and Microsoft. That's something I'd want to know about. If I was trading XLK, what are those guys doing? Once again, simultaneous break. Almost everybody last Tuesday was a 2-2 reversal after hitting some magnitude here. Also going outside weaker. So the danger here is that we had a lot of outside weeks, which are broadening formations. Now the question is, do we come ripping back through, or do we go boringly walking them up them? The last few days of a month, that's exhaustion. I want to know when that month ends. Is it going to end on a Wednesday? Is it going to end over the weekend? Is it the end of the quarter? So that's exhaustion by time. So at that point, I want to look at all the monthlies and see which ones, how close are most of them to twoing in either direction, right? So that'll give me a general idea, a general bias. Be like, if everything's on the highs, most likely you're going two up. Right, so that means we don't uncouple for a week. We won't uncouple till a week from next Tuesday. So it doesn't mean we don't trade, it just means we gain more information. I want to be able to identify four separate participation groups by price and time. That helps. Because we're using these guys against each other. These guys trigger these guys, trigger these guys. And so it's just like it's the same thing on the end of a day, end of the week. What are we closer to doing? Twoing? Threeing? What are we dealing with? And that's where I come in. It reminds me, I got to change my LinkedIn. Because I am the Director of Research and Trading Operations. Right now you got earnings. Let them earnings come out. Because they might not do anything. They don't have to. That's one of the bad things about new highs. Nobody has to do anything. Just let them go. You want to talk tomorrow? I made the vid. You got inside days of Facebook, CrowdStrike, Oak to Octa, Snappy. You got Tesla earnings. You got China weakness to see if that comes through. Great thing about my vids, they're rarely over 3 minutes. Rarely. Because we can communicate very quickly. So it's pretty clear. There's a whole bunch of stuff doing a whole bunch of nothing. So be aware of that. See if we can get tweets to go back through the try she goes. And try not to jump around a lot either. That's why I'll tell people to stay in the 30-60 gappers. That's it. No matter what I say. And then if you're up to the task, you can call the audible at the strat time report. Because here's the problem with Twitter. Look at this. It's the end of the month. It's a doji. You're nowhere near taking either side of that out. You got a good chance at an outside-inside weaker here too. But you can keep an eye on this. We'll see how it plays out with everybody else. Because I'm coming in cold too. I didn't look at the charts over the weekend, so. And it wasn't very exciting because a lot of things just went through the try. You guys got all the try fun last week. You'll hear me say patience a lot. Wait for the setups. Wait for them juicy ones. It's a lot of people overtrade. And it's easy to do with the strat because there's so many signals. I understand that. But if that's not you, don't do it. Some people are animals and, trade a ton of symbols. But right now, we've been living in exhaustion risk. And that's just how it is, and that's why we go to the stocks and where we need to be. But two on our way into heaven. Look at this. You got your 3-1-2. Never admit if so. Like, let's say that you got this 3-1-2. There's you've been you've had close calls on threes, but you haven't had a lower low since that. If you're just going off the lows, you'd still be long. Adding to your position, yes. So long as you have more magnitude, right, and everything's still working. Let's say the Tesla did stay up there, right? Let's say the Tesla did clear this and stayed above that week. You can look to add into here. Keep going, because now you did what you're supposed to do. Stop these guys out, and you held. That's good. Right? If you could have held that, then you could look to add to it. Right? Because that's a good sign. That 2-2 reversal is still good. So once it comes back, no. But if had it done that, you certainly can. So not everybody becomes proficient at that either. And if that's not you, that's okay. Ideally, we want to, especially in an optimistic situation. Let's say a simultaneous break. Because simultaneous breaks, depending on the time frame, is it a daily, is it weekly, hopefully a monthly, but or is it an hourly, whatever it is. You have a lot of opportunity to not only add to your positions, but diversify it within the concentrated sector. And what I mean by that is, let's say they're buying all the oil stocks or whatever it is, right? You want to try and get as many of those as you can because they're buying all of them, and then you can keep those stops tight and keep moving them up. By the end of the day, all you got is the strongest ones out of them, the ones that are most aggressively buying. And that's why sometimes like a Monday's a good trading day because it is simultaneous breaks. Because you'll have guys who are entering, guys who are stopped off the dailies and the weeklies, and the 60 guys trigger the dailies, you trigger the weekly guys, and then that's it. A la last Monday. Boom, gone. They didn't get the monthly guys, but they got the weekly guys, and they got the daily guys, right? And they got these guys. Stop these guys out. Ugh. To make sure nobody's in for this one. Boom. So let's see this try here. You could have been adding in here. Look at this. Look at these 2 days. Pretty much opening on the close on the low and closing on the high for 2 days, and then finish the job here. Boom. Because over time, that's where you really make the killing, when you keep loading the boat on something that's still working. And so, for newer folks, just keep paying attention and keep watching, because the tries play out so often that your confidence grows over time. That's why you'll hear me say, "You ever seen this one before?" I'm like, "Oh, like a billion times." It just plays over and over and over. And sometimes you got to be patient. Say, "This tries too tight." Nope, nope. I need to try the out. And sometimes they'll just drift away from you and let it be. That's why a lot of people will sell their winners out of boredom. So I'm just bored. This thing's not doing anything. I'm like, yeah, but you're in a profit. You don't have to do anything, right? Somebody else does. You don't. That's why in most scenarios, I prefer you don't get out. Make them take you out. I don't care if it's a 1 cent stopper, but make them take you out. It's those ones that don't stop. It's hard to think of a trader who hasn't said this. I got out too early. Yeah, that's why we're trying to stay in. This thing's still good. Make sure there wasn't any later questions in the emails. Everything making sense? Another thing I don't like is people just smiling and nodding. I think I get it. If you don't get it, ask again. If I wasn't clear on anything, ask again. Because if I couldn't answer the same questions a million times, I couldn't do this job. But hopefully, for newer folks, you recognized while I was gone the triangle day out, right? Just had to wait for it. That's all. Because you got the micro one in here. Then you got the inside day 212, puke, and the 2-2. And so also, like if you're in the morning, and so because I get this question so often, if you see something that's gapping and want to tell me about it, do it. I'll take a look. Because you'll hear me update some things like that DNLI, I think. That thing too. There's nice little 60 pop rolls, your 30. Oh, there you go. Boom. Well, if there's no further questions, maybe we can call it the Power 50 minutes. Well, everybody's getting acquainted with our new home. I gotta say, the chat already is so much better. I can see so much more. Can you talk to us about what you refer to as a sequence? I'm still working on putting things together as a whole. Instead of pulling up stocks with multiple time frames, just saying, okay, green month, green week, green day, and then wait for the try they out and co. Yeah, so the sequence is like for uncoupling for one. Do we have uncoupling yet? Right? And so, and where things are. So that's what that goes back to the explanation of how many twos are we closer to doing, right? Or failed twos going three. So that's what I'm looking at night. How many inside days are there? There's a bunch of inside days on a Monday. That they haven't decided anything yet. And so that's why Tuesday we figure things out. And that's why I do the Strat Attack show on Tuesday. By that time, they've either 2-2 reversed, right? Or they've gone 2-2 continuation. Right? That's something I'd want to know about. I mean, especially if I can see they're going through a try. So if I would have done the Strat Attack show Tuesday night, I would have been like, oh, here we come. Here we come. Outside weeks, everything, doing that. So when things occur matters on how it all lines up with everything else. Are we exhausting? Is it a Friday? So on Friday, the weekly's running out of power because it's almost over. So if I'm likely to take profits if I have them on a Friday, where that would counter the weekly signal. But I could still take that because of when that occurs. You also have cheapo options. So I can take the daily reversal against the weekly on a Friday. Wouldn't necessarily want to take it during the week, depend on where it is. But when things occur matters. What we're looking for and why. Because we have a bunch of potential outside threes like you did last week. Yeah, that was a nice week. Pretty much everybody going outside week. Everybody to the upside. Right? Tough to turn around. And that's why you'll hear me say oftentimes in the morning, this tape's a mess. There's no evidence of much going on. Right? Headless chicken market. Let these guys beat themselves up until I figure it out and we can walk right in there. Right? And usually by strat time, I got it pretty much figured out. Today was kind of painful. I was like, there's a bunch of crap out there. Because as much as I know there's tons of strat stuff to do every day, There's some days to me where you'll hear me say, if I wasn't doing this job, I wouldn't be in today. Let these guys play out. Just like when I pointed out before, gap down. I want anybody taking out the highs. I want to go after people in losing positions. I want to go after people with taking aggressive positions. That's the two things we're looking for. Time frame continuity is the aggression, right? Magnitude is the guy's getting cremated. This guy's getting handed to him. I'm going to buy it with put my stop on the low of the pivot. Thank you. I know you are. I know what they told you. Making sense? There you go, Pen Apes. Come on, Portnoy. Get a bunch of your stooges in there to buy this thing. And also, art, it's always just not a matter of whether it's green or red or not. It's how green it is. Right? That's another caveat for some people. It's green on all time frames. I'm like, yeah, but not much. We like to find that Sasquatch dung. There's a big boy out here. There's a big boy. Look at that bar. This guy's huge. Yeah, how much does it have? When does it have it? Right? And does it have friends? The S&P, the Qs. XLK, does it have friends doing the similars? Well, no shortage of earnings this week. Hopefully that shakes them up a little bit more. It'd be nice to go back through the try she goes, but you don't always get what you want, now do you? But we're going to be aware of all these outside weeks, because if we do start coming back through here, that'd be something I'd want to know about too. If they're willing to pay up and sell down, they're willing to do it again, they might do it again. We don't have evidence of that right now. But you have bad earnings. You have potentially Intel, Facebook, CrowdStrike, Okta, Snap, TTD, potentially inside days to the downside with Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. That might get my attention. But we don't have the evidence as yet. As far as we know, 2. It's a 2 up. There you go, Art. No problem with that. No FOMO. Snipe it to the penny. Add if it keeps moving. That's not FOMO. That's what you should be doing. FOMO is the meatheads who have no idea why it's doing it. Create a winning position, add to it. I'm good with that. We just need them to do that. That's my job. Find me ye long red and green bars. Or some nice gap and reversers. And then over time, like Mr. Triangle that was a little bit tricky. I think you got an inside 60 though. Directional 60, a little tricky, but $20 is $20. Algos combined with stop them out. Back to the previous range. There you go. These guys are buying and these guys are getting stopped out, removing liquidity from the buyers, which causes them to be more aggressive, which takes you to topo try, and then you dump a pile on them in exhaustion risk. Okay, but now I'm really going to go. We're coming up on an hour here, and I'm still doing laundry and catching up from not being here. So welcome new folks. Obviously we're working on a lot of stuff here. We just got here. As you can tell, Michael's here, working hard. There you go, Art. As long as it works for you. Gaps and misses the stops, or they stop them all out in one shot, yeah. So that's why we go through them. But let me wrap up this recording for you, and we'll see you bright and early for more fun, Teslers and all that kind of fun. All right. Welcome, new folks. Glad to have you here. Old folks, you too. All right. Have a good night. We'll see you bright and early. No, we'll have to post this to my YouTube right away.